But that's not my fault. My job is not to put you in law school today. My job is to handle the trial. I'm explaining to you that objection, you don't object just because you disagree. There's got to be a legal basis for the objection. Your disagreement can come in your questioning of the officer and in your own testimony or your own witnesses or your closing statement. You can argue that what words were spoken means something different than what the prosecutor is arguing they mean. You understand that?
Okay, well.
Yes or no? Do you understand that? If you no, and I'll try to explain it.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, objecting because you disagree is not a valid objection. You have to object for a legal reason. Okay, you can make your argument. You can cross-examine him about exactly what was said, what the question was, and how you answered. You can do all that through cross-examination. But I'm going to overrule your objection because I don't think it's a legal objection.
Without exchanging info at first, and I told him to call my phone because I couldn't find it. But I knew once he called me, I could exchange info through phone and call the police. He kept saying he doesn't want to call the police. He doesn't want to call the police. All of that changed from the time that his friend came up until the police came. Then he started saying that somehow I hit him, which is impossible. He said that he was injured. He knew that he saw that there was a liquor bottle in my car, which he couldn't have. He went in his car. That's another thing that's on the video too. When we got into the accident, we both got out of our cars, and I looked at his car. That's on the video. I said, I'm looking at his car. I said, are there kids in your car? I'm nervous. I'm sorry. I've never done this before. I've never represented myself in court by myself. Just a little nervous. That's all. I'm a little flustered. But I got out of my car. I looked at his car. He looked at my car. He was doing all it. For a long course of time, I fainted. And I woke up and he had friends. He had people that he had called there. The other complexity is that the other complexity I said, I don't know if I went past. The other complexity is that I get accused of doing something alcohol related while I'm not drinking alcohol. One of the officers said they found a tequila bottle in my car, and he asked me, was it mine? I said no. He asked had I drank liquor, beer, or wine. And that's the crazy thing. I drink from time to time non-alcoholic Heineken beer, non-alcoholic Coronas. The beer I drank way earlier that day was a non-alcoholic Corona. It has a light blue label on the bottle. The regular Corona has a dark blue label on the bottom. I know what that is, but I just had to let you all know that. The officer said he didn't believe that it was a non-alcoholic beer, which is not him, it was another officer. He got there later. He didn't believe that it was non-alcoholic beer. But because I was a little disoriented, that I was intoxicated, and they reconstructed the whole accident contrary to what really happened. However, I didn't cause the accident. There is a such thing as non-alcoholic beer, and I had injuries which would lead to disorientation. I don't know why they chose to believe them or why they chose to say certain things that were not true. I just looked at it like the driver got away with blaming that accident on an injured, disoriented person because the officers came and did a poor job of really investigating and did a horrible job handling every aspect of this case. And once again, I will line up my questioning and closing statements that the lawyer advised me that I will be able to do in a way that will illustrate these mishandlements or mistakes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Greco, witness?
Yes, Your Honor. For the first witness, the prosecution calls Officer River Grishaber.
Is it Grishaber or Grishaber? Shaber, long A?
You know, the alcohol.
Yeah. Mr. Greco, yeah, come on. Your lab person is in the waiting room. Raise your hand. Swear affirm, tell the truth, all truth, nothing but the truth. Yes, sir. Have a seat. Settle in, state your name, spell your last for the record, please.
Hello, I'm Officer Shaver, Government Police Department. R-I-S-H-A-V-E-R.
Thank you. Proceed, Mr. Greco.
Officer, please state your name for the record. And are you currently employed?
And
And where are you currently employed?
the Police Department,
And what is your position of employment?
I'm a boss.
Were you working on the evening of October 5th, 2023?
Yes,
And you recall being called to a scene of an accident?
yes.
Hey, approximately what time?
11:41.
And what do you recall about that evening? How did you get there? What led us there?
I remember showing up to a accident at Van Born and Chamberlain Road, it was east of Chamberlain. When I arrived, I was driving both vehicles, they were in the ambulance already. I actually located Mr. Lee still in his vehicle, driver's seat. I had him set out, just because I had seen that the airbag set up where he went to the boy. I got him out of the vehicle, he requested medical attention. Put him to the ambulance. See, that was.
And that was Van Born and Chamberlain here in Romulus, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Did you, okay, once you had interaction with him, you got out of the car, you wanted to get cared for by the EMTs, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what kind of vehicle was he driving?
Driving a Ford Explorer. I can go.
Okay. And where were the cars positioned with respect to roadway and?
Both vehicles were actually positioned on the south side of Van Born Road in the grass, facing the same direction.
Were you able to speak with Mr. Lee regarding about his version of events, about what happened?
I do not recall speaking with him in the events on scene. Later at the hospitals where I remember the chain of events first in.
And with respect to the issues while we're here today, the cause of the accident, or who caused it, whether it was Mr. Lee or the other driver of the vehicle, is neither here nor there, correct?
Correct.
Did you determine that Mr. Lee, well, Mr. Lee, you indicated was in the driver's, correct?
Correct.
Either at the scene or you indicated at the hospital. Did he indicate that he was the operator of that vehicle?
He actually indicated that he was operating the vehicle on scene.
On the scene.
Correct.
And is Mr. Dwayne Lee the person you encountered in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Okay, where is he?
He's sitting right there with a black jacket.
Noted for the record.
All right, describe if you can for the jury your interaction with Mr. Lee. You indicated a little bit, you got him out of the car, brought him to, what else happened?
I showed up to the scene and trying to figure out if there's occupants of the vehicle. My encounter with Mr. Lee and then step out of the vehicle. He said airbags were deployed and I didn't want a part of the airbag to deploy. Had him step out of the vehicle, he stated to me that he was driving the vehicle, he was also in the driver's seat. And I asked him if he needed medical attention, he did due to his ribs. We walked him over to the ambulance and then from there, I don't recall having further contact with him on scene. He was transported to Beaumont Wayne Hospital.
Are you able to describe his demeanor when you interacted with him at the scene?
So there was on scene, I actually had to step out of the vehicle. He was kind of slow to answer my questions. And then as far as what I observed or noticed while I was on the scene, there was an odor of intoxicants coming from him as well as inside the vehicle. No slurred speech or anything, or sorry, no blurred eyes or nothing like that, just the slurred speech when trying to talk with him.
Was there any evidence of alcohol within Mr. Lee's vehicle that evening?
Yes,
And what?
another officer doing the search of the vehicle located in the passenger side of the vehicle at liquor bottle.
Okay, you indicated another officer found it, but you saw it that night?
Correct.
I'm gonna hand you what's been marked as People's Exhibit number 1. Ask you to take a moment, look at that for a moment. All right, what is Exhibit number 1?
Exhibit number 1 is the liquor bottle that was found on the passenger side of the vehicle, Mr. Lee's vehicle.
Okay, it looks like a photograph of it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you take this photograph?
I did.
Okay, and where was it taken of? Where was it taken?
I believe on the hood of Mr. Lee's vehicle.
And does this photo accurately depict what's depicted in the photograph from that evening?
Yes.
Or would like to move for admission of plaintiff's exhibit or prosecution's exhibit number 1.
Mr. Lee, any objection to that evidence being admitted? Okay, that would go to the weight of the evidence. I'll admit it, and then you can certainly make that argument. Go ahead, Mr. Greco.
All right. Were you able to perform any field sobriety tests on Mr. King?
No.
That's because you requested the medical attention.
Correct.
At some point, you left the scene of the accident, correct?
Correct.
Was Mr. Lee transported to the hospital?
Well, hospital.
Walmart Wayne Hospital. Did you go there?
Did.
Okay, when you went to the hospital, were you with him?
I was with another officer. Yeah.
All right, so when you went to the hospital, what's the next thing that happened?
We actually went and spoke with Mr. Lee, trying to get more of the circumstances of what took place. He was interviewed. After his interview, I actually left the scene. Officer had stayed on scene and stood by with Mr. Lee while I went to the police station to obtain a search warrant. The search warrant was for him refusing to draw blood for us for the offense.
Or refusing to consent to draw blood?
Correct.
Okay. So at some point in time, you or Officer Paquette asked him if he would consent to a blood draw, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so he denied that, and then the procedure is to get a search warrant?
Correct.
Okay, and that's why you're saying you left the hospital to go get that, correct?
Correct.
Did he make any statements that you recall regarding any alcohol used by him that evening?
Again, Officer Paquette, he was the officer who was questioning Mr. Lee at the hospital. I was there standing by. I believe, or sorry, I don't believe, I know, Mr. Lee stated that he had earlier in the day one drink, which was a Corona. That was it.
During your interaction with Mr. Lee that evening at the hospital, did you have on your body worn camera?
It's not up here either.
Is it shown on your screens?
You got it there? I don't know why it's not on the big one.
It's on.
Is it on yours?
The sound comes in.
The sound comes in when they turn it.
Mr. Lee, you've got the image though? All right.
Officer, are you able to see the beginning of the video on your screen there?
Yes.
Okay, and you would indicate that there's silence right now because you don't have the audio on, correct?
Correct. I believe 30 seconds after. Turn your video footage on. That's what it is.
Okay. And this what we're seeing right now is the body worn camera on your chest position, and that's Officer Paquette in front of you.
Correct.
Does that indicate you turned down the sound there?
Correct.
The audio. So just to be clear, you indicated he was going to Glover, an address in Glover Street, Wayne, Michigan.
Correct.
So he indicated was coming from, he got off work at 12:30. And at this point in time, it's just after midnight on December 6th, correct?
Correct.
And you had responded to the scene on October 5th at 11.
Correct.
All right.
11:41.
11:41. Again, just so we can confirm what we're hearing now, you had testified earlier that he indicated that he had one beer, correct?
Correct.
And that's what we just heard as admission on video, correct?
Correct.
And he indicated it was the Corona beer.
Correct.
Did he indicate that it was a non-alcoholic?
You did not.
Objection.
Can you pause the video? What's your objection, sir?
He clearly just asked me, did I have the liquor? I said no. And I told the other officer.
All right, so hold on. When you make an objection, that it's got to be a legal objection. So you can object because it's not relevant. You can object because it's hearsay evidence. There are specific reasons you can object. So what I heard is he said no hard liquor, and you said yes, no hard liquor.
Well, yeah,
Is
that's
that
what
what-
I was telling him. Yes.
Okay, all
I
right,
didn't have no alcohol, period.
okay, but all right. So once again, That's to the weight of the evidence. You can argue that what words were spoken mean something different than what the prosecutor is arguing they mean. You understand that?
Okay, well,
Yes or no? Do you understand that? If you no, and I'll try to explain it.
yes, I know what you're saying.
Okay, so hold on. Okay. Objecting because you disagree is not a valid objection. You have to object for a legal reason. Okay. You can make your argument. You can cross-examine him about exactly what was said, what the question was, and how you answered. You can do all that through cross-examination. But I'm going to overrule your objection because I don't think it's a legal objection. You understand my ruling?
Wait, you're saying that I can only do, I'm learning as I go, as I was.
But that's not my fault. My job is not to put you in law school today. My job is to handle the trial. I'm explaining to you that objection, you don't object just because you disagree. There's got to be a legal basis for the objection. Your disagreement can come in your questioning of the officer and in your own testimony or your own witnesses or your closing statement. That's where you can disagree. Understood? All right, Mr. Greco, continue.
Because she told me that we can get him. Where's he? When he wasn't in her house, when I go home. Not looking glad, she told me to come get him. That's the thing, I wasn't supposed to be off right now. I was supposed to be off in the morning. But I was having to get him, I was. But I had to go get him. She called, go get him. And then she said, and then once she was there, my son. Yeah. Like you are. On the other, there's two concerts on the street, somebody shoot me. Then he said, what? Eight sons are. Eight sons are. You were trying to. We can't help the congregation, not play, right? You gotta witness it. I believe that you are here. What I got to have, I did it. See, okay, so you're reading. Verbatim. It is, it's flying out. It is. Using. I need these up. You're under the operating vehicle on activities. Well, not the activities. But we need to take it one step. You're answering. If you refuse to make it. You're right. Different response. We take one. Yes or no? And we take what that for? No.
So at this point in time, did you consider that a refusal? At this point in time, we're speaking with and you're talking about what you need to do next.
Correct.
Okay, what is it?
I need to go back to the Rouse.
You want to know? Met you and. Thank you. I'm gonna hang up this. All right, thanks. Wait. No, get out.
Officer, we just watched a video that's approximately 9 to 10 minutes long. Was that your body camera video from that night of the theft, or actually the early morning hours of October 6th?
It was,
Was Mr. Lee on video in the hospital bed?
yes,
And is what is shown on video accurately depict what occurred that night with you, Officer Beckett, and the defendant at the hospital?
it does.
Your Honor, I'd like to move for admission of exhibit number 2, the video.
Thank you. Mr. Lee, any objections to that segment of the video coming in?
Well, as far as what was just watched,
Yes. Any objections to admission of that video, just like we admitted the photograph?
I mean, you get, but yeah, of course.
Of course we can.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I think I already asked you this, but yeah, we saw you leaving the hospital, correct?
Correct.
You indicated you went to the police department to fill out the necessary paperwork to get a search warrant, correct?
Correct.
All right, what does that mean?
So you go back to your station, I go back obviously to the Rouse Department. I did the necessary work to obtain a search warrant. I have to contact a magistrate, contacted Magistrate Alan Inman. Advised him of the circumstances of what we had. He approved of the search warrant. At that point in time, I obtained a blood kit from the Rouse Department. It's sealed, and I take that blood kit to the hospital and continue forward with the.
Okay, so you're saying, so you get the search warrant, once you get that, this is gonna be search warrant to draw someone's blood. You're saying you stop by, there is a kit, like a blood draw kit that comes in a box.
Correct.
Sealed,
Sealed, correct.
and once you get the kit, you go back to the hospital, correct?
Correct.
All right, what's the next thing? What's the procedure on how this happens?
So you take the blood kit to somebody who is approved at the hospital to obtain a blood draw, phlebotomist or tech. They open up the kit in front of you. And when they open up the kit, there's paperwork they have to fill out, there's paperwork you have to fill out as the officer. It contains 2 vials, empty vials. And then they obtain his blood, the street's blood. Carefully placing each vial back into the box, with the necessary paperwork. There's also a label that is on the blood that indicates the time of each blood draw. Then the box gets sealed up with the necessary paperwork, sealed in front of myself, and I do not recall if was there during the sealing, but I was the officer who provided the paperwork and, watched the blood draw take place.
And with you and the tech being present as well.
Correct,
Now, all the things that you just described occurred in this case.
correct.
Did you follow the procedures accurately and correctly to obtain the blood in this case?
I did.
And then what do you do with the kit?
Once the kit is sealed by the phlebotomist, you take that kit that is sealed back to the Rounds Police Station, and it goes out to, I believe, MSP, for the lab results.
That's being sent to the MSP, Michigan State Police Forensic Lab, correct?
Correct.
And at that point in time, that evening, did that essentially conclude your involvement in this case until today?
It did.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Lee, do you have any questions for this officer?
You said that you gave the blood to the MSP lab.
So when you take the blood kit, the sealed blood kit, after the Rounds Police Department, it goes out, into mail, sent to me, it is sent to the blood lab.
Because it says here that the day that, the Department of State lab received this blood was on October the 11th. I don't know if the jury can, or is able to see that, but this situation happened on the 5th of October. The lab received it on the 11th of October, so did you have that blood in your police department or precinct until then, or how did that?
So we have a mailbox that we place all of our blood kits. The blood kit is placed into that mailbox. From there, I don't have contact blood kit. I'm assuming that it goes to straight from the mailbox to the mail and then sent out to the industry.
The mailbox, does that mailbox have multiple blood samples, or is that just my blood sample sitting in that mailbox?
So again, all of our blood kits, that's where they go. I don't know if during this, there was other blood kits there. It's that happened 2 years ago, so I don't recall on that part, but that's where we place all of our blood kits. All of our blood kits, do provide our name on the blood kit, and again, they are all sealed.
They are still, you weren't there as the witness to see.
I was, the thing about it was sealed.
That you said that, Officer Paquette was there for the city, which you weren't.
No, I was there, because I was the officer that provided the paperwork. I was the officer that watched the phlebotomist draw your blood. Officer, again, I do not recall the witness, the kit gets sealed, but I did witness the kit gets sealed.
Okay. And you are aware that you are under oath today.
Correct.
Okay. Just a question that we're talking about. Where are you employed?
Rounds Police Department.
Okay. How long have you been employed there?
I've been with Rounds Police Department for 2 years, and I have, or sorry, 2.5 years, and I have prior police experience elsewhere.
Okay, well, so would you say that you are good at your profession?
I would say that I am a law enforcement officer who is still learning.
Right? Do you think that you have completed the training needed to perform your duties properly and efficiently as an officer?
I do.
Have you had training on making arrests of criminals doing so properly? Have you had training on making arrests of criminals? Is that involved in your in your training as an officer?
Correct.
Okay. Have you had training handling injured criminals?
Correct.
Are you aware of the term, the totality of the circumstances?
I am.
Wait, excuse that question, I'm sorry. Okay. Two, have you been taught about Miranda warnings in training?
Correct.
And what is the Miranda warning from your analysis?
Well, essentially, so I have a card actually in the pocket of the street. But essentially, any lowercase. Before advising you that you are, or after advising you that you are under arrest. Everything that you we advise you that you are to we would actually hear yours.
Well, yeah, that wasn't really for the question, but I was, I want to go on somewhere else with this. Have you been trained to thoroughly observe and investigate the scenes of crimes, yes or no?
Yes.
And then I go back to the totality of the circumstances. What is your assessment of the term, the totality of the circumstances?
In your case,
I
in your case, it was the odor of toxins from you, from your vehicle. It was the bottle that was in the passenger side of the vehicle. It was your admission of you drinking a Corona earlier today. Those are the totality of the circumstances.
Okay. Just admissions. Okay, so the totality of, that's the full totality
But it's
of.
an accident as well. Obviously, your accident causal injuries.
Okay, and you, um, when you thoroughly investigate and observe the scene of crimes, are you trained to write a report of what you saw under oath?
Yes.
Directly to the night of October the 5th, where and you were working, and did you, would you, on October the 5th, would you say, because it was to you, would you say that your training and skill level was fairly the same?
I would say that it is approved. You're asking, has it approved from 2 years ago?
Yes.
Yes.
Where would you say, good, could you give a good, fair, or poor level at that time?
Of your incident.
Yes.
So again, I currently have 2.5 years with the Rockville Police Department, but I worked in Detroit for a couple of years as well. And during my time in Detroit, vehicle accidents pertaining to your case.
Okay.
So I do feel that I to handle your situation.
Right, and in writing reports, you, once again, are under oath when writing these reports, and you're writing everything after making a thorough investigation.
Correct.
Would it be fair to say that, at the night of October the 5th, were you directed to this accident involving myself, the defendant, at the location in question?
I was dispatched to your location, correct?
Okay. And how were you made aware of this accident?
I was aware of a 2-vehicle motor accident at the intersection of Van Born and Chamberlain.
Who were you made aware by?
The run was Department dispatch. I believe it was a passerby call, stating that there was a vehicle accident at the intersection.
Okay. And were you told by this person when exactly this accident took place, time wise?
I was not advised by the passerby when the accident took place. I'm not sure if the passerby continued driving or if they had stopped. That's unknown. However, once we're dispatched to the location, obviously we show up to the location. I believe our dispatch time was 11:41 p.m.
Did I give a statement as to when this accident took place?
Time wise, no.
So would it be fair to say that you don't know when the accident took place?
I know when I was dispatched here. I don't know if it happened 10, 15, 20 minutes prior to being dispatched. Don't know the time of the call, I just know dispatch.
So once again, if you only know the time that the call was made, but you don't know if the person passed by, kept going, you don't know exactly time wise when that accident took place, am I correct?
Correct.
Continue on questions from here, I'm sorry. Were you made aware of the encounter between the two drivers of the vehicle?
I believe you advised us of that encounter at the hospital.
Okay, so given the fact that you don't know exactly when the accident took place, would it be fair to say that you don't know, well, you said you do know. Do you know how long the encounter took? Or how long the encounter between the two drivers was?
Are you referring to yourself
Myself and the
prior to police arriving?
yes.
I do not.
So would it be fair to say that you never actually witnessed any operation of a motor vehicle on my part or the other party's part?
I did not witness either vehicle in motion by you or the other driver. I located you in the driver's seat of that vehicle upon arrival.
So, given the fact that you didn't witness any operation of myself or the other party, would it be fair to say that you don't know there was any erratic driving, on my part or whoever's part? You don't know, you obviously didn't see any driving. So is it fair to say that you don't know where any erratic driving came from?
I cannot say if it was you that caused the accident or if it was the other driver that caused the accident.
Okay. Given the placement of the vehicles in question when you arrived on the scene, how did you come up to the conclusion that myself, the defendant, had struck the other driver?
Again, I was not really able to speak with you all that much on scene due to you being taken from the vehicle and transported by all outreach to the hospital. So with the other driver of the vehicle who advised me his side of the story. Which direction apparently both were heading and what took place.
So in other words, you listened to the other driver.
On scene, and then I made the hospital and listened to your side of the story.
Okay. At what point did you determine myself, the defendant, to be under the influence of alcohol?
So again, when I originally made contact with you, there was no order to talk.
I'm sorry. And what were the signs that made you come to this? I'm sorry.
Okay, odor of toxins coming from your body, coming from the interior of the car. The bottle that was located on the passenger side of the vehicle, which was provided by Officer Fields, the one that indicated. There's another officer, all that's currently not here, he's being in order. Some from your people. It's very short. So, issues, you say. And also states what's that you.
And just to reiterate, you don't know when I operated that vehicle.
Correct.
And also, from your understanding, any cologne, whether non-alcoholic or alcoholic, is not tequila.
Are you referring to a bottle of the passenger seat?
From your understanding, know a Corona beer to be tequila alcohol?
Those are two different things, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. Were you made aware of any injuries that took place on my person that night?
So when I introduced the bottom of the vehicle, I asked you for injury, you stated that you were. You provided, or you told me that your ribs were hurting you, so that's exactly what I told the medics that went to see. Look at for you.
Only my ribs?
Again, it's like 2 years ago, I do not recall if there was any other injuries. You're stating to me that your ribs were injured.
Okay. Actually have the report in my PDF files. I don't know if that's admissible either.
I'm not going to admit your phone, but you can go to that report and ask him questions from the report.
In your report, I know you said that you didn't give me FSTs because I had a headache. Those were your words. So you were aware of a head injury as well then.
If it's in my report. Or
so you took into consideration the head injury for the lack of FSTs, but you didn't take into consideration the head injury for physical possible incapabilities, mental possible incapabilities, or anything otherwise. Am I correct?
could you restate your question?
So in your report, you put you didn't give FSTs because of my head injury, and you just stated that you did put that in the report. If you put that in your report, I'll rephrase it. In your own words, what would be your reasoning for not applying the totality of the circumstances, which is my head injury, to incapabilities that you stated as well, that you said? And I mean, because the other one, the odor of alcohol is subjective. It's like what you smell is what you smell. But the other signs that you said you saw, wow, what was that?
So the reasoning on being able to do the SMTs, you had multiple airbags inside your vehicle that were deployed. So we all know as law enforcement, we show up to an accident scene, airbags are deployed if the airbag struck you in the head. So due to you being in the ambulance, we can't conduct SFTs. SFTs is sobriety, field sobriety test, indicate whether or not you have possibly been drinking. We can't provide you those tests. To answer your question.
Okay, and once again, FSTs are field sobriety tests. Those are like physical things.
Okay. Q&A.
I didn't know if I
I'm going to ask him what they are.
So, at some point during the night, I was standing and walking. Did you notice any staggering or inability to walk or stand up straight?
I do not recall seeing those things come from you.
And then I asked, why was that not in your report as well? That's a part of the totality of the circumstances. Why was that not a part of your report? That I wasn't
That I
staggering?
did not see those things.
Yes, I'm referring to the fact that you put all these clues as to why I was intoxicated, but why didn't you include anything that would state that I wasn't as part of the totality of the circumstances?
I'm writing a report showing or stating what my indicators are that you were intoxicated. I wouldn't include that you don't have blurred eyes, that you're not staggering.
So,
I wouldn't include those, I would include those two in the report.
so in other words, your job is to only include incriminating factors.
So if we believe that you are impaired or under the influence of alcohol, we're gonna put in a report the reasonings on why we believe that you are impaired or under the influence of alcohol. We're not going to counter our report by stating you are not under the influence of alcohol for this instance.
Okay. You were asking me questions. You stated that I was slow to speak. What exactly does that mean?
It means when I was asking you to step out of the vehicle, when I was asking you if you were injured, there was long pauses in between your answers to my questions, almost as if it took you a while to understand what I was saying before answering.
Well, you don't have that video, part of the video, body, but, I would like to, well, I'll just ask, do you think, from your opinion, that a head injury could cause delay in answering questions?
Yes,
Okay. Would it be? Given the fact that you didn't pull me over and you arrived on the scene of two disabled vehicles, would it be fair to say that this bottle of liquor that you say you found on my vehicle, that it is possible that it could have been put in the vehicle, after operation?
it's possible, but who would have placed the bottle of alcohol on the vehicle?
Just, is it fair to say?
It's fair to say.
Right.
It's fair to say that anything can be placed in your vehicle after.
If you didn't see it.
Correct.
Okay, so that's fair to say. Would it be fair to say that it is possible that these signs and symbols would you say that the placement of the vehicles plays a major part in the totality of the circumstances as it pertains to who crashed and to who?
So I actually am not a accident investigator. We didn't have an accident investigator on scene. As far as the placement of the two vehicles, I'm not equipped to say what happened. You go on the story, I have to go to the hours. How the vehicles ended up, it's a vehicle accident.
You also have a crash report in your report.
Correct, I have to do a crash report. That's on a public roadway, any accidents that's on a public roadway. I am required to do an accident report. Or an accident investigation is where they're able to come out, determine the tracks of the vehicle, first impact, things of that nature. I'm not able to do that.
Well, that was never provided, but your crash report, that you wrote, is that I went over into the median and I struck this driver. Am I correct?
Correct.
So, given the placement of the vehicles, when you arrive on the scene, how does that coincide with each other?
So again, I spoke with the other driver of that vehicle on scene based off of what the other driver provided to me on scene. I believe there's a photo on that accident report. You can see where I was under the impression due to speaking with you and the other driver, first impact of the incident.
So once again, I ask, given the fact that our cars were placed off on my side of the road onto the grass, how is it that you put in your report that I went over this direction and grass and thing?
Because that is the statement given by the other driver.
Okay. No, trying to get through this. Would it be fair to say, would it be fair to say that my head and ribs injuries played a major part in the totality of the circumstances pertains to the functions of my bodily aspects? I think I've asked and you've answered that.
Yeah, so, I mean, your head injury and your ribs, you didn't have a head injury or a rib injury prior to the accident. Those were due to the accident.
No, I mean, well, you've already answered, so I don't want to waste your time. Are you aware that I don't have a DUI conviction on my record?
Am I aware that you do not?
Yes.
I don't know what you have on your record. I believe, if I recall correctly, that you have a prior, I don't know if it's a conviction, I don't recall.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't know where that came from either, because you put on your report that this is my second offense. And
Okay, so again, this is an incident that took place 2 years ago. I don't have the report in front of me.
I literally have it. If I wish I could just show it to
Do
everybody.
you have it on paper?
Well, am I able to?
Yeah, go ahead.
And there. I mean, it's riddled.
Can you flip the page?
And also you have on your report, you made a statement that I have a prior conviction. I'll just show you where that is. Um,
Good help, huh?
it says
Thank you, Mr. Greco.
that. I was convicted of.
Okay, so my report states the wings convicted on 02/11/2021 OWI. Shows on complete driving history, but not CCH. So what we do is we go back to the police department and we get a CCH for anybody that gets arrested. And CCH
Excuse me, officer. CCH is?
Oh, okay. Pretty much there. Criminal. Yeah, so he wants to. Is it really enough? Did not show that. He was. Convicted of the line on his driving record. The. Year was sold on March 2023. So it does show that you. Driving. Driving while impaired. Under the influence. I'm not sure. With all your questions.
Well, I mean, that's absolutely false, so I'm trying to figure out why it was in the report. I don't have a conviction on my record for DUI.
Okay, so we go back to our station, get with our Rollins Police Department dispatch, they provide the paperwork. We look on the paperwork, it says your name, it says what you were convicted of, again, on CCH. Paperwork provided to me by the Rollins Police Dispatch is stated. And then they. I can't prove whether. Just based off of that paperwork, it shows that you had.
Given the fact that I don't. Would it be, given the fact that I don't have a conviction on my record of this charge, would it be fair to say that if I were convicted of this crime, it would be my first offense if I didn't have it. Because I don't, but I'm asking you, given the fact that I don't, or if you're in your mind that I don't have it, you're saying I do, this will be my first offense, right?
Your Honor, objection, lack of foundation. The witness has already indicated he really has no personal knowledge.
Yeah, I'll sustain the objection. Let me ask him a question. If it turned out that that conviction record that you had was faulty, then this would be the first time,
Correct.
if he's convicted today, it would be his first conviction.
Correct.
Does that help?
So given that fact, a mistake of putting a second offense on my charge or your report would be very vital to me as a person. My punishments would be larger or increased. Am I correct?
So as a police officer, I don't convict you, I just handle what I have in front of me at that point in time. That all goes to the court for the courts to figure out, that not on me.
Man, I'll ask a different question. If whatever the mistake was, where it came in that I had a prior conviction and it was in your report, given the fact that I don't, if I was the type of person that didn't look into all this kind of stuff, wouldn't that be very vital to my punishment in this courtroom?
In that situation, it would be me acting as in good faith, is that under my knowledge as what I provided in my report, and that's for the courts to decide on whether or not I have prior conviction.
And where did you say you got this information from?
Around the police department dispatcher.
So your Romulus, the police department dispatcher told you that I had a prior offense.
Correct, so I go back to the police station, I do a report on the incident. Our dispatcher is the one that pretty much provides the majority of our paperwork. Within that paperwork, you observe your name, your date of birth, where you live, and it states to us what you were, pretty much your driving history. Also, it's at your record.
Here on out, I'm gonna, for time's sake, I'm gonna make it clear when I ask a question, whether yes or no, or if I don't just want a yes or no answer, then you can elaborate. But that's all I want to know is, did your dispatch give you that information?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Lee, I'm gonna stop you. You're already over doubled the time limits that I set. And I'm gonna let you go a little further, but I just want to make sure that you don't spend much more time on this issue because it's not even relevant today. You're not charged with a second offense. It's not something he's got to prove to convict you today. So I don't want you to use your limited time on an issue that really doesn't come to play in today's trial.
I'm sorry for that.
No, it's your time. You can use it how you want. I'm just warning you.
Put it in the report.
Okay.
That was it. Did you say you witnessed the performing of the blood draw, right? Okay, do you know if she wiped my arm with alcohol or another substance?
I believe that the wipes that they utilize does not contain alcohol in any of the wipes.
You believe or you know?
What is inside the blood kit is not provided. Me, it's provided by, I'm gonna guess, Michigan State Police, the blood kit. So they would be better equipped to know what to utilize for a blood draw than myself. What's inside the blood kit is forensic lab, to my knowledge.
So
Let me help you out, Mr. Lee. If you know the swab that the phlebotomist used on Mr. Lee, did that come out of the kit? Okay. So I think the lady that's going to be on Zoom from the lab can answer that question. What exactly is that? I think. I would assume she should. Okay. Okay. So he might not be the best witness to get to that.
would it be fair to say, okay, are you sure that my blood was the blood that was tested at the lab?
Yes,
And how did you come to that conclusion?
I was there while the phlebotomist was conducting your blood draw. I watched them take the vials out of the box. I watched them do both vials of blood, and then I watched them carefully place both vials of blood back into the box.
Are you referring to the blood draw?
Correct.
No, I mean the lab, the testing lab. Where you were.
I'm not president lab.
Oh, that's all I want to do. Or I said I was gonna say yes or no. Did you properly store my blood when it was in your possession?
Correct. And the phlebotomist places it into the box. I don't have any contact with your blood whatsoever.
Outside of the box.
Outside of the box, yes. I transport your blood from point A to point B to the hospital to the hospital departments and drop in the outgoing mail to the forensic lab.
Okay, do you have any word, or do you have any record other than your word that will show how the blood was handled while in custody at the police department? Are you for certain that my blood didn't get misplaced at any stage in this investigation?
From the time that I had the blood kit, it did not get misplaced. Anything further from that? I can't tell you.
So are you for certain that my blood didn't get mislabeled?
I know for a fact your blood did not get mislabeled.
Are you for certain that my blood, are you for certain that my blood was properly stored in the right temperatures over the course of time that it transported from the hospital to the lab back to you all for the results?
Question for the flux.
As far as the storage,
As far as the temperature, I'm not sure if there's anything in regards to temperature, but
um,
out of my time as a law enforcement officer, never heard of a blood kit being misplaced.
you never heard of it. No further question.
Mr. Greco?
Briefly, Your Honor. At the hospital, before you get the search warrant, your standard is probable cause, correct?
Correct.
You were not convicting Mr. Lee that night.
No,
Correct. You had suspicion
correct,
based upon the totality of the circumstances that you went through with Mr. Lee, correct?
correct,
And we're here in the 34th District Court on an OWI first, correct?
correct,
All right, if it was an OWI second, in your experience, we can down, correct?
correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Do you have any redirect or recross? Follow up based on those questions?
You stated that if we were OWI second, just for the record, we'd be downtown, right?
Correct.
So once again, given the fact that it was put in your report, that is a second offense, I would have been downtown.
Correct.
No further questions.
Okay. Oh, so you can step down. Watch your step on the ramp. You want to take care of the lady on Zoom?
Ray has some questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your Honor, I think proceeding.
Okay, that's, I'm just trying to get the lab person. Show that to Mr. Greco and Mr. Lee.
And they can choose the field now, because.
Yeah.
One month.
Yeah, and folks, if you have a question, it doesn't have to be on the official question form. It could just be on a page out of your notepad. Do either one of you have any objections to this question being asked?
Yes.
Okay. I would agree with Mr. Greco.
That is the question,
Correct.
because I was gonna ask that, but I just.
Okay. And he probably would have objected and I would have sustained the objection. I agree. I agree. All right, now you can step down.
I was just gonna ask that the lady, this situation, why was he not tested?
And that would be irrelevant, just like it is right now. Mr. Greco, next witness.
Next witness is Michelle Key.
In this intense courtroom moment, the prosecution explains to the jury that driving while intoxicated is illegal in Michigan, especially when a driver's blood alcohol level is above 0.08 or when alcohol is found inside the vehicle. The prosecutor describes how police responded to a late night accident where officers discovered an open bottle of tequila in the car and later heard the defendant admit he had consumed a beer earlier that day. Because the defendant refused a breath test, officers obtained a search warrant to draw his blood at the hospital, and the results reportedly came back above the legal limit. However, the defendant chooses to represent himself in court and tells the jury that he is innocent. He argues that the investigation was mishandled and claims the alcohol bottle was not his and may have been placed in the vehicle later. He also explains that he suffered injuries in the accident, including a head injury and rib pain, which could explain why he appeared slow or disoriented when speaking to officers. Throughout the trial, he questions the officer about the investigation, the timeline of the accident, and the handling of the blood test evidence. The case ultimately comes down to whether the jury believes the police evidence and lab results or the defendant's claim that the investigation contained mistakes and misunderstandings. Question: if a defendant refuses a breath test but police later obtain a blood test showing alcohol, should that alone be enough to convict? If you enjoy real courtroom trials like this, like the video and subscribe for more courtroom moments. So